Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Spincast. Today we have Alex GAGUCAS from the University of RIO GRANDE in Ohio. He is the head coach of the Esports program there at that university, and today we will be talking about all things about his program at RIO GRANDE and all the interesting things they have ongoing there, and then giving yet again another snapshot of what it looks like to play at the collegiate level in any esports title. So without further ado, Alex, go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us kind of your background, how you got from just starting with a passion in gaming all the way to being a head coach of esports and director and all those fun roles at Rio Grande.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on. My name's Alex. I've played, I've played in esports. I've been in the esports industry since around 2012, when Counter-Strike Global Offensive first really came out. Uh, I started competing in that when I was young, and all of the Cal Invite days. Um, kind of just played casually, nothing really too serious. And then I started seeing myself like just getting more competitive, playing with some really good players and whatnot. And then just kept playing throughout my high school career. Eventually went to college at Miami University, and that's kind of where I really started playing a lot. I played in ESEA and kind of played through all their ranks and whatnot, and basically made more or less a name for myself in the Counter Strike community. Uh, and then basically competed in our collegiate level. And once I graduated from the collegiate level, it was kind of ready for me to enter the real world, quote unquote. I got a degree in clinical psychology, so I was able to have a full time job while still competing, like after work or whatnot. And then I was very fortunate enough to go back to my alma mater at Miami University and be their head coach for CS:GO. And I was basically coaching their team there, and I was able to, really bring that team together and like rise up in the rankings for Counter Strike, and then eventually had to really go into the working the 9 to 5 life, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of took a break from it. Still played more casually with friends and competed still, but then it turned into me applying for this job here at University of Rio Grande, and fortunately, I was very fortunate to move back home to my hometown here and be their head coach. So
Sweet.
just a little bit about me.
Yeah, sounds like a great backstory. There was one thing I know we talked on a little bit before we started the show, and it was that both your parents were doctors. So kind of growing up through that, you got a degree in clinical psychology. How did you kind of sometimes, I don't want to assume anything, but like
Yeah,
overcome some of those, negative type stereotypes associated with esports, right? It's just gaming. You're not really doing much, but
yeah.
it's actually something that's really fruitful and gives you a lot of talents and skills that you can use in the workforce and apply it to almost anything. So is there anything special you wanted to highlight or say about that as, maybe for any kids out there that might be, their parents might be like, I'm kind of on the brink of what this esports thing is.
Yeah.
Anything you want to touch on there?
So my parents weren't really open at all to the idea of me playing video games as a job. Um, Basically, they're very hardworking, and because they're both doctors, they kind of really wanted me to focus more on like my studies and everything. While I did focus a lot on my studies. I had a 3.5 ish, something like that, all
Yeah,
throughout college. So
pretty
I
high
worked
up there,
really
pretty sure.
hard. Oh yeah, I worked really hard for
Yep,
that,
yep.
day in and day out, just studying and then playing games on the side. The thing that helped me the most, and I think that helped my parents really see, is that I was able to create a schedule where I'm not only just playing games. I kind of leave the games after I've done all my work.
Hmm.
My schedule usually from when I was in college, right? Go to class from like say 8 to 5, just like a normal job, whatnot, and then have like an hour or two for just relaxing, eat dinner and whatnot. And then after that, that's when I really study. I study usually until 10 or so at night, get all my work done, and I'm still working throughout the day. between
Between classes and
classes.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
getting what
typical
I can
college.
done.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and then after that, that's when I would do my like gaming and whatnot. It would be after I do all the things that is important to every parent, right? Getting your
Mhm.
work done, getting grades, and doing well in school is something that they really wanted me to do.
Mhm.
They didn't really realize, and they weren't as supportive until they really saw that I was able to basically get paid for playing
Mhm.
video games.
Mhm.
When I got the first job as the head coach of CS:GO there at Miami, they were like, oh, so you're actually getting paid for this. And
Mhm.
then they started seeing more. They did like an article on me back when it first started and everything, since like Miami was like one of the first programs
Mhm.
to really start and everything. They saw like articles and stuff, Facebook posts, and my dad's very avid on Facebook, so he decided to
Yep.
share it with all of his friends, and it just exploded and everything. And then I'm naturally Filipino, and
Yeah.
we actually went home to the Philippines to visit my mom's side of the family and everything. And then there was an open CS:GO tournament there, and I competed with a couple friends that I have
Yeah.
over there, and we actually did really well. I think
Yeah.
we I think we lost in the quarterfinals, but you know that's a side story.
Yeah.
But
Pretty cool success story right there.
oh yeah, for sure, it was really fun. But the main thing that I think that we can do to get parents like more on board is to see that gaming is not just a a thing to have fun. There's like a lot of things you can learn. My biggest takeaway from it, from a clinical psychology background of it, is it makes you learn how to be more level-headed, if that makes sense. How to make decisions under pressure, which is
Mhm.
a huge thing I think that we as a society can sometimes struggle with, just because you got so many things coming at you and you have to make a decision like just quickly, quickly, quickly. And you got to make sure you can weigh out all the options, see what's best. And you can see that there's multiple benefits to that in life in general.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
not just fun and games. It's a lot
Exactly.
of uh, a lot of thinking involved.
Exactly, especially on that esports competitive side, right? Like
Oh yeah.
I'm sure, and I'll let you talk to this a little bit, but there's a lot of work that goes into than just playing, right? You have developing strats, dry runs, VOD review, making sure you're highlighting mistakes or highlighting what went good to be able to
Hmm.
repeat what went good or fix what went wrong. There's so many levels and depth to competing at that high level at the college level or at the professional level, that isn't just okay, I'm going to sit down and play for 2 hours. If you're just sitting down to play for 2 hours, you're probably just like, you can be a casual gamer, that's fine, that's
Hmm.
awesome, it's fun in games then. But at esports, it's a completely different scene. Just like collegiate football, you see those guys prep and coach and train all
Oh
day
yeah.
long for that. So kind of get into like that kind of balance that you help your students and players in your esports program really achieve. You talked about like how you have that set schedule. So talk about that balance of how you have to focus on your studies and have that collegiate work-life balance, but also still all those layers of depth that goes into preparing at that elite level in collegiate esports.
So yeah, like I said before, the biggest thing is having a schedule. Once you're able to have that schedule and keep to it, then you can kind of fill in those little blank spots or whatnot you need with whatever you feel like you need to like point out on. Uh, I'd say go do your schoolwork first. Like I said, do get that all done, and then after, when it's time to practice, we'll focus and practice. I think my schedule on how I want my athletes to work is Monday through Tuesday and Wednesday, kind of depends on how many things we have to review, will be mostly VOD review and kind of planning and strategizing and whatnot. You want to have your players be able to look at how they played in the past and see what they can improve on, where their faults were, how we can improve overall together as a team. um, Mostly whenever I'm going to speak to Counter-Strike mostly just because it's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm most familiar with.
Yep, for sure.
Uh, the thing that we see in Counter-Strike, no one person can really just carry the team. There's one person that can really, help, of course, but it's more of a team sport. You need to learn what the tendencies of your other players and how you can work together. Once you're able to work together, that's kind of the winning formula, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're able to make decisions on the fly to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing that I wanted to train with like seeing their own gameplay and uh, in VOD reviews and our team strategies and everything is how to react in every different scenario. So once they're able to basically classically condition themselves, they see, oh, this, and this happened. So once those happen, we need to react this, and this way.
Mm-hmm.
And once that they're able to do that, then they're able to basically kick into high gear and just use what they've trained on for so long in that world, like in the virtual world, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah, there's a number of things right there kind of packaged in that in your response there was all that teamwork that goes into it, right? Especially for like employers or those skills that you kind of talked on that you're learning, right? Teamwork,
mhm.
synergy, predictive analysis.
Yeah,
It's Monday morning. I'm
analysis.
just, yeah, analysis. Strategy, right?
Mhm,
Growth from your previous mistakes. Those are all
yeah.
things that every employer wants or every professional team wants in players or workers.
Mhm.
And these are all skills you learn actively while playing competitive esports at any level.
For sure. Working within the clinical psychology realm,
Mm-hmm.
and right now I'm also a network and systems admin. So working in the IT world and working in the gaming world, the one thing that I found in common that every employer, every boss, every manager wants to see is teamwork. No
Mm-hmm.
one can do one thing alone. Everyone will need some help at some point. And if you're
Exactly.
able to work as that team and be able to do it in a very efficient manner, you're going to have just productivity through the roof, which is
Exactly.
something everyone wants to see, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Having a good unit or a team that is just basically fluid, right? Like you talk about in game where you practice and practice and practice, where you know what your teammate next to you is going to do. So you know they have
Hmm.
your back, or they know they're covering this one angle, or they're going to use their utility appropriately, and it
Hmm.
enables you to go do your thing really well. That's something that's beautiful to see in game, in the workforce, at home, anywhere, right? It doesn't matter
Oh
what
yeah,
that competition or place is. It's a beautiful thing to see to come together.
for sure.
One thing I did want to highlight on a little bit more is your clinical psychology degree. So
Hmm.
a lot of stress and mental health wellness in esports, it's a couple of problems with that and how players typically address it or don't address it. So are there any things that you highlight or work with your players from that psychology degree,
Hmm.
developing the right mindset, making sure that they have that well-balanced wellness approach to make sure they're in the right mindset so they can perform at that elite level day in and day out?
So the thing that I like to focus on, and the thing that I saw is just beneficial to everyone, is not focusing. It
It's still
sounds
Monday
weird.
morning, right?
Yeah, still a Monday
Even though it's
morning.
quarantine, it's Monday.
For sure. The thing that I like want to see players focus on is themselves, right? Don't focus on what the other team is doing or what their mindset is, what they're saying, or how they're treating you. You focus on yourself. And once you're able to focus on yourself and let everything else go, you're able to be better within yourself and work better with your team. Whenever you have that moment where you're getting frustrated with like something happened or you died in a dumb way in game, if you're able to get past that, focus on the next round, what you need to do as an individual player to fix that mistake, to correct it, you'll be able to overcome so many different obstacles within not only just the game but in life itself.
Hmm.
Every like stuff happens every day that is just it's rough. It'll take a toll on you, but if you're able to just focus on what you find important to yourself, what you can do to better yourself and make the best out of the situation, you're just going to be a happier person, less stress, and you'll be able to get things done, right?
Mhm.
I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And I think along with the whole psychology point of thing, um, within game, I like to make my players really focus on communication. If they're able, the communication is just a huge facet in life. If we didn't have
Mhm.
communication, then the world would be chaos.
Yeah.
I like to see that my players are able to communicate with each other, say, hey, man, it's okay. We got you. We're in this together. We're going to work
Mhm.
together. We're going to win. Just keeping that positive mindset and keeping each other in a tight knit like family. If
Exactly.
knowing you got each other's back is definitely a huge key in
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I love that word you just used in family, right? I think some of the top teams in any competition, something that I follow Siege a lot. So G2's dominance, they treated
Mm-hmm.
themselves as a family basically, and I know it's the same thing in any game. Is that at that top level where you're really good, like you're
Mm-hmm.
basically family. I mean, you practice so much together, you spend so much time together that at that point, like you have that team mentality, just like a family does. A little bit
Oh
different than a
yeah.
traditional family, but still
Mm-hmm.
family in my eyes.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's something awesome to see. And kind of, I know we talked a lot about team and kind of the individual aspects of esports. We're shifting gears a little bit back to collegiate esports.
Mm-hmm.
Looking towards the future, where do you hope to see collegiate esports grow? Right, like it's still kind of like it's definitely picking up steam. It's really big in a lot of some of the smaller universities because the Division One still have that red tape kind of plastered
Mm-hmm.
around them with all the different like the SEC, ACC. They all have their
Yeah.
own little rules and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the violent side of the FPS is there something that these mainstream universities don't want to hop on so eagerly. Where do you
Mm-hmm.
hope to see the collegiate scene continue to expand? Where are some holes that you hope to see be filled as esports keeps picking up the seams and is growing to be the next, like really it is the next big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of looking towards the future, what do you hope to see go on there?
In the future, I think I really would love to see a more unified type of uh, esports scene. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, there are so many leagues that you can compete in for the collegiate side of things, and a lot of them are sponsored by different companies or whatnot. I kind of would like to see it just more in one unit, not really owned by one person, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of all one umbrella where it's just more streamlined. Because if we're able to make it more streamlined and then more uh, basically one stop shop ish,
Yeah.
then more people would be able to see, like, go to that one place and see it, whereas they're saying, oh, this is a part of one thing, oh, this is a part of another, are they related? It's just
Mm-hmm.
people are right now, I think everyone's working towards the main goal of growing collegiate esports, which is great. I love that. I love to see that we're able to become something bigger than just ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like it's a business decision. People are also wanting to compete against each other, offering something versus the other. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if we're able to all come together, kind of just have it all under one umbrella, work towards the one main goal of huge esports world,
Mm-hmm.
then I think it'll just be good for the collegiate scene. And I don't know if it speaks to really ascending into the pro level, but it'll make it more streamlined for like a student athlete to go from, I competed in high school, I competed in college, oh, look at me, I'm being drafted now for the collegiate level or for the pro level.
Exactly.
Right now it's more like the pro levels, you're kind of become known from different facets of
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
third
collegiate
party.
isn't part of that typical path for
Yeah.
professional play.
In the past, I've seen like a couple pro players go to
Mm-hmm.
college as well and compete in
Yeah.
the collegiate level, and they're just like on just a different tier
Yeah.
because they're just they made it to the pro level.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing I like to see.
Yeah, I think that definitely have that streamlined approach. Because like a number of things you just touched on is like those pros that play in college, right? Well, at that professional level, know exactly what they're trying to achieve, right? There's a set pro league in every
Mhm.
single major title, right? Tier 1 or tier 2, there's a set pro league with their very specific rules and structure and league system and how they get
Mhm.
points to go to majors and lands and all that kind of stuff. In
Yeah.
college, it really depended on where you are and where you're
Mhm.
playing. Whether
Yep.
that's TESPA or NACE or all these other organizations that are putting them on, they're all a little bit different. So as a
Mhm.
college, you're like, okay, well, I have to prepare this way for this tournament and this way for this tournament and this way for this tournament. So I feel like you might lose out on some quality in there, just because you did weigh all of these options. And
Yeah.
then another thing, like you said, it's like viewership, right?
Mhm.
If there's 10 competitions for one game, well, there's going to be 100 people in each of those 10, right? I'd rather
Mhm.
see 1,000-person main event, right?
Oh
Where
yeah.
you can really highlight it on a network like ESPN or something to
Oh
get
yeah.
that large view on mainstream media, rather than how all these little small facets where it's like, oh yeah, this is great and this is great, this is great, but they're so small that's like, well, is this really this big? Like, well, it is really this big because there's like 100
Yeah.
of them.
The one thing that I did see, and it's actually happened in the past, there was just so many tournaments that we were competing in, so many leagues that we wanted to compete it in. We qualified for two or three at one
Hmm.
point in time, and unfortunately, we weren't able to attend one of them because they decided to schedule their finals at the same exact time, the same day. So we
Yeah.
had to choose, like, do we want to compete in this or compete in
Hmm.
this? And we couldn't reschedule because they had their own production team going on. So
Hmm.
I feel like if we're able to make it more streamlined, of course it would be bigger as a whole. There'd be a giant group of teams in there.
Yeah.
Uh, it'll just make it so much easier for scheduling along with viewership and growing, the esports scene.
Exactly. I think the next step is that unified approach where even just like you talked about earlier is communication between those businesses, organizations like, hey, you know what, I'm going to focus on this weekend, you get the next weekend, right? And
Yeah.
kind of helping each other rather than trying to compete like on the same day, right? There's definitely
Mhm.
some competition there for sure,
Oh yeah.
to say the least. So kind of going back a little bit to just Rio Grande.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what your university offers from the esports program, what games you guys play, what games you focus on majority, and what competitions you play in, and whether it's maybe scholarships or an arena or something like that in the works, maybe.
Yeah, so currently we do have an arena that we're currently building up and everything. Currently sponsored by MSI, so they're pretty much giving
Yeah,
us like the whole cool look
yeah.
arena,
Mhm.
every like all chairs and really high end gaming computers. I'm
Yeah.
very impressed with what they have,
Awesome.
and 144 hertz monitors definitely the arena is definitely something like everyone would want to see, and
Mhm.
where it's placed, it's like in the center of our business school
Oh, that's
technically.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
they have windows and everyone is able to like peer in. It's like, whoa, what's that? I want to be a part of that.
Exactly.
So that's a really cool part of it. And here at Rio Grande, we're under the athletic program, so they are student athletes, and they are fully funded. We have a fully funded program, and we do offer scholarships uh, for
Awesome.
our teams and everything.
Yeah.
And we're growing right
Mhm.
now. Right now, we're focusing on League of Legends and Counter Strike as our two main main games for now. Just
Mhm.
mostly because those are the most viewed esports
Exactly. Those are the two
currently.
biggest titles for sure.
Oh yeah, and the amount of competition for it is just very, very wide.
Mhm.
So we're able to compete in multiple different leagues and whatnot. Currently, we're planning on doing AVGL, NACE, and Collegiate Star League. We'll
Mhm.
be doing all of those, and along with a lot of other tournaments that are out there,
Mhm.
we'll be competing in those as well. But kind of just as as time allows.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, but those aren't the only two games like we're planning on doing right now. Those are the ones we're focusing on, but we're also
Mhm.
going to be expanding into others such as Call of Duty, Rocket League, uh, 2K, any of the like NHL, the Madden
Mhm.
games. Those
Mhm.
will also like expand into. And one that we're really looking forward to, and I think is going to be the next biggest esport, is Valorant.
Yeah.
Valorant, I think, is just gonna explode like in
Mhm.
being one of the bigger esports. So I
Yeah.
mean, those are the things that we're kind of focusing on right now and trying to
Awesome.
create the best we can. investing we can.
Awesome. Yeah, having that varsity athletic funding is so important, and that's something that I know I've come across in a lot of these different podcasts. Is that just speaks to the ability of the program to get to that next level and grow, right? Go from 2 games to 10 games, right, in the next 2-3 years, however long it
Oh
takes.
yeah.
But and then realizing that these students are student athletes, they go through the same time rigor, same balancing of their schedule, same workload, work ethic,
Yep.
effort, all of that as a football player, as a basketball player, as a baseball player, it's no different. A little bit different work, right? You're not going to
Oh
be
yeah.
lifting weights all day. You're going to be working on your mechanics. You're going to be working on VOD review, on strategy, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. Um, so different, but same, right?
Oh yeah. Just as much
Yeah.
time dedication for sure.
Exactly, exactly. So unfortunately, we are running out of time. This has been fantastic. I love our discussion about a lot of different aspects. One last question I'll leave you with for the audience is, what
Sure.
advice would you have for a high school student looking to get to that next level, right? What advice would you tell them to keep them on course and grow their skills to be able to play at the collegiate level?
I think the biggest thing to concentrate on is your mindset and the way you want to focus on your work ethic in life and in game. You want to focus on being the best you can be, whether that means working harder than everyone else, being the best teammate, or just being that one person that you can always depend on.
Hmm.
Make a schedule, keep yourself like focused on your goals and just work towards it. Just work hard every day, and if anything worth doing in life is worth overdoing, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
just work hard and you'll get there. That's all it really is. And focus on yourself.
Yep, exactly. Couldn't agree more. Yep, passion, dedication, work ethic. That in anything you apply those 3 things, and you're going to go a long way
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
achieve success for sure. So, unfortunately, that is all the time we have. Everyone out there, thank you for listening. Real quick, Alex, tell us where we can find Rio Grande Esports, Twitter, Twitch. Keep up to date so we can follow you guys as you expand and win championships.
Uh, the best thing and best way to find us is on rio.edu. We have a little banner up at the top that flashes all of our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagrams and everything, really, all the social
Okay.
media. And yeah, you can check us out there and kind of follow our success as we
Yeah.
move through the seasons.
Exactly. I'm excited to see that arena fully operational. It sounds like it's pretty cool with the
Oh
glass
yeah,
windows in the business school. I think that'll definitely bring a lot of attention from outside and inside the university. So that's fantastic. So to all
definitely.
our listeners, thank you for listening in to this wonderful podcast today. Everyone out there, stay healthy and stay happy in these unprecedented times with the COVID pandemic, and ultimately stay plugged in.